Hi YouTube, my name is Mr. D and today on the table I have one of the most anticipated controllers of the last couple of years, and it's GameSir G7Pro. So it's made specifically for Xbox, but it also works on PC. With Xbox, it works only with the cable, but for PC you can use 2.4 GHz dongle. So let's open it up. I already opened it, of course. I've been testing this controller for the last couple of days because I live in China and I can get this controller pretty early. Блять. I was waiting for this controller to come out since 2024 and was so happy when they finally announced it on April 1st, but then they switched the date to May 1st and May 25th, then June 9th, and finally on the June 21st of 2025 we get this controller to pre-order. I think this controller was ready like a year ago, because the first thing I've seen when I opened the box, I've seen this yellow tape here, you see? It's really aged. So this controller was ready and packed very long time ago. It still doesn't want to come out. So we have protective rings on joysticks. And here it is. So first impressions, this controller is very nicely done. This is one of the best feeling controllers I've ever feel in my hands. So just to let you know, I have so many different controllers to compare it with. I have Easy SMX D10, I have GameSir Cyclone 2. Couple of days ago I've got Mobapad LM35, it also known as Huben 2. The best controller of 2024, FlyDigi Wader 4 Pro. Recently I grabbed the new color of Big One Blitz 2, but now they changed the name to Mojang. It's even on the old controller you can see Big One, now it's Mojang. Another GameSir controller is GameSir Nova Lite, and also I have 3 different DualSense for PS5. The black version, this one I customed myself, and this one I customed myself a little bit as well. So as you can see, I have quite a lot of controllers on my hands and I regularly use all of them. So if you want review on any of that controllers, let me know in the comments down below. But now let's back to GameSir G7 Pro. In the box we have 2.4 GHz dongle. It says GameSir on it. This dongle is a little smaller than usual dongles, but also bigger than previous dongles from GameSir. For example, this is a dongle from Cyclone 2. This is the dongle from Wader 4 Pro. Dongle from Blitz 2 is almost the same size, and Easy SMX D10 is quite taller as well. Plastic feels a little cheap. The rubber is good though. You also can open it from the bottom and put your dongle inside, connect to your PC via USB-C, and you can use it and connect it to PC like this, or just put a dongle into PC and use it as a charger as well. As for me, I always use it separately from PC. White plastic feels okay, but the gray plastic feels super cheap, and also it's quite hollow. Also on the bottom, this dongle has white LED, and when you put controller on top, you can see it's charging by this white light. Also they include 2 different D-pads. The original from here is circular, so this one is something between this, and this is just usual cross D-pad. I have something to tell you about them but a bit later. So what else? Here we have documentation and the cable. I should say cable is really long, and also it's quite a good quality cable. So it's meant not only for charging, but to use it with Xbox as well. All this is nice, but let's go to the controller itself now. First of all, as I said before, this controller feels really good in hands. D-pad is super easy to press, I would say even too easy for my liking, but nonetheless this D-pad is really nice. Sticks feels very nice and smooth as well. As far as I'm concerned, these sticks are almost the same sticks from GameSir Cyclone 2. They even feel the same, but the one we have on G7 Pro, as the company said, they are more refined. Yeah, this stick feels really good. I tried in different games, played for 2 days, it's super good. It has mechanical face buttons and they feels great as well to press on. These 3 buttons are mechanical as well, M button is mechanical too. It has Xbox logo here. As I said before, this is a Xbox licensed controller. On the bottom you also have microphone button. If you press it, you have it red, so your mic is muted, and connect button. Also 3.5mm jack. So about this jack, I tested it, and usually when controllers have 3.5mm jack and you use it at the same time with the controller with 1000 polling rate, controller becomes like 500 polling rate. Bumpers feels really good. Triggers are so nice. They're quiet. Here are 2 extra buttons on top. I would say about these buttons, they're too easy to press, but when you play and rest your hands like this, you use use triggers, and these buttons are very easy to access. For example, Blitz 2, you can use it as well, but it's a little bit too far to use. When I use Blitz 2 as usual and press triggers, I need to kind of reach. It's a little bit too far for me. But here my fingers just resting here, so I can use triggers and extra buttons as well at the same time. So I'd say these two buttons even easier to reach than Blitz 2, but before Blitz 2 buttons were my favorite, these ones are even better. But at the same time, they're too easy to press. So let's check rear buttons. Sounds like mechanical, you can lock them. I don't really know why you need this function. When you use the controller, you're not accidentally pressing them all the time. So I don't know who needs this, to be honest. Placement is really good though. And here we have trigger locks. Trigger locks are very good as well. And you know what? This is plastic, not rubber. But this is rubber. So grips are rubberized from back, but here is plastic. But it's kinda okay for me. I never even mentioned it for 2 days until I start to record this review. Let's do the sound test. This controller is super comfortable, guys. It feels premium. Another cool thing about this controller is you can remove the faceplate and handles. And look how beautiful it is inside. I don't know why, but it reminds me of Terminator. GameSir did a really good job with this controller. So here you can see you can remove thumbsticks. Here is the look at the modules. These are TMR modules from GameSir. And you can also fully disassemble these joysticks and remove them and put the new ones if something breaks. I'd say they are too short for my liking, and I'm gonna use Game Freaks with them. Game Freaks from PS4 and PS5 controllers are good for this controller. If you try Xbox, it will be too small. This is a bit of a letdown because this controller is Xbox licensed and you cannot put Xbox Control Freaks. Here's another PS4 Game Freak. PS4, PS5 Game Freaks, yep. Xbox, nope. This controller is G7 series, so you can put faceplates from G7 series as far as I'm concerned right on this controller. Here's the cable holder, you can take it out. So me personally, I never use the cables. I like wireless controllers. In terms of how this controller feels in hands, actually, it's something between GameSir Nova Lite and Cyclone 2, because for Nova Lite you have rubberized grips and it's more bulky and rounded, I would say. Cyclone 2 is more like a basic Xbox controller form. I would say this is something in between, but G7 Pro feels more expensive and premium in hands in any way compared to these two controllers. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and the main thing I don't like about this controller is because of this Xbox licensed controller, you don't have turbo function and macro functions. And you can say, oh come on, who needs turbo on back buttons? I'm gonna show you why I use this function every single day. So here's what I meant when I said I need turbo every single day. So this is how I use it. I put the A button here on the back, and X button I put on this button on the back, and they are both turbo. So if you play this type of games, this is for example Zenless Zone Zero, you know that the most things you do here is you tap X all the time, just X, 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 X like crazy, and A you tap to skip the dialogue sometimes. So I just hold the back button here and I don't need to press X anymore. I just hold this button and she does everything herself. Otherwise, I need to do like this. This is very tiring when you play this type of games. But I can just hold. And the problem is I need the hold button sometimes to release her skill. For example, if I hold this X, she does the skill. And then I need to do this again. And then when I have enough points, I need to hold the button again. So I need back buttons on turbo and the usual buttons without turbo. And this is how the gameplay looks for me for this controller. If I just hold the button, nothing happens. I hold the same buttons, so this is X, I can tap. But if I hold, I can't do anything. So I can use the controller as usual. This is annoying. So it's maybe not a problem for some people, but for me it's quite a problem actually. But I have other games to play, so for other games it's just perfect. Also, vibration feels good. It has 4 rumble motors, 2 are here and 2 are in the triggers. Except for these small problems, everything else feels just great. Do I recommend for everyone to buy this controller? Absolutely. The only thing is price may be too high compared to competitors and even to competitors from GameSir itself. So it's up to you, but if you need a controller, I would recommend this one easily. So about the app, you need to go to Windows Store and download GameSir Nexus. Don't go on the official website because that application still doesn't work on the time of recording. So then you download it and just open. Here's the quick look at GameSir Nexus app. In this controller, you can have up to 4 profiles and you can switch between them by holding M button and one of the face buttons like Y, B, A or X. Here you can set your polling rate. I highly recommend 1000 Hz. This controller has gyro, but I don't use it, so don't ask. Here you can say auto on and off. If you take the controller from charging dock, it will automatically turn on and connect. Here you can set dead zones and also dead zone triggers. For buttons, you can assign any button of the controller except for Xbox logo and M button. And here's the problem that I talked about before. For example, I can have this X button, go to advanced settings, and here I can use only continuous trigger. No macro, here is no turbo. Here's an example of GameSir Nova Lite, which I can assign any buttons with turbo as well. So look how it looks in this app. Here I can map multiple buttons up to 3, I can set continuous trigger, and I can set turbo and set how fast turbo can be, up to 30 Hz. Also here you can see a macro. Here you can adjust the dead zones on the sticks, left and right, put it to circular or raw. Here you can set up the motion, but I never actually use that. You can test the triggers here, right trigger and left trigger, and vibrations. Here's the example of trigger vibration. And here's the whole vibration. I would say this app is quite nice, one of the best, but without macro and turbo here, it's kinda so-so, for me personally. Here's the polling rate test. Hz left, 1000 Hz right, here's the gamepad tester results. Circularity test is perfect. Originally I wanted to order the black version, but in China for pre-orders they only have available white version. This looks quite nice, but after experiencing Epic's 4 rubberized grips in gray colorway, I would say these grips will become dirty very soon. And this you hear from me, person who washed his hands every single time before every gaming session. But someone can say, oh, you can change them, right? Yes, but the problem will be around here, because when you hold the controller, here is where you have it all the time. Another letdown for me is 4-way D-pad. Let me show you what I mean. So this looks amazing with this D-pad, and you can put it only one way, because you see here on top and here you have the same thing, and you can put it right here. It feels good, everything is nice, until you put the faceplate on. What the hell is this, GameSir? This looks terrible. I don't know, what do you think? These just look terrible. It feels great to use. I never have this problem in any controller ever, because usually your controller has plus here, not the circle. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, but I think this looks just terrible. And I'm gonna say this D-pad by far is my favorite. This plus and minus you can use to adjust the volume of your headphones. If you hold M button and push plus or minus, you would adjust the volume of your headphones. In conclusion, this controller feels really nice in hands. All the buttons are very good, except for this D-pad. I mean, this plus D-pad looks just hilarious here. This controller, like, all I can say, it feels premium in your hands. It's very comfortable. You can play for a very long time. Because, for example, when I used 8BitDo Ultimate 2 for like 6 months, I've sold it already because it was too small for my hands for a long time. It's not even a long time. I use just for 30 minutes and my hands already get tired. But with this controller, I can play for hours and nothing really happens. This controller cost me 500 yuan, $70. Its usual price overseas is $80. And I'd say if you are looking for wired controller for Xbox with very good quality, I would say this controller is better than Xbox Elite 2. And at the same time, you want to have one controller for PC and Xbox, this is your choice. If you need controller for PC, I would rather buy FlyDigi Vader 4. It's cheaper, it's a lot better in some ways. This dude, Blitz 2, is just a beast. The only problem is no analog triggers, but it's not a problem for me. And if you need controller just for PC, I'd say this is the better choice. Cyclone 2, it still exists. It has macro. You can put macro buttons here. Even the keyboard buttons. It has turbo on every button you want. Yeah, it has no 2 extra buttons, but for me personally, I always use only 2. For example, Vader 4, I have 4 buttons, but I only use these 2. Same with MobiPad, I have 4 buttons here, but only use these 2 because these 2 are not really comfortable to use. This, I would say, is the best way to put your buttons on controller. 2 on top, you can easily access them, and 2 on back. A lot of people want 4 buttons on the back, but I'm not one of them. So it's up to you. If you need 4 buttons, just pass. Also here on the back, you have switch between 2.4 GHz dongle and Bluetooth. This middle position is for wired. So I'd say I like this controller a lot, except for these couple of things. For general gameplay, it's just great. Triggers feels good, bumpers good, these 2 buttons are great, back buttons are okay, everything feels nice and premium. This controller, for example, costs 500 yuan. This one is 400. This one now you can find for 200 yuan on AliExpress or Taobao. This one is like 160 to 180. All prices I say in Chinese yuan because I live in China apparently. This one is 300 and this one is 360. If you find this controller for like 400 yuan or even 350 is a great deal, but for 500 I would think again. But for me personally, I really like this controller, but this one I'm gonna return because I want the black and red colorway. That one is just great. This one I don't really know. It feels good and all, but I prefer the darker controllers.